Spokane City Council has raided nearly $1 million from the Spokane Fire Department budget. Let that sink in for a second. $885,000 of hard-earned taxpayer money. And where is it going? Is it buying new turnout gear? Is it replacing aging SCBA packs, funding wildland brush trucks, or putting more boots on the ground to answer 911 calls across Spokane? No. It's going straight into the pockets of high-priced attorneys to keep fighting a petty, vindictive legal war against the very men and women who put their lives on the line for this city. During the July 22nd Spokane City Council meeting, your elected officials voted 6-1 to take another $200,000 directly out of the Spokane Fire Department's operational budget to keep defending their unconstitutional COVID-19 vaccine mandate firings. Not from a legal reserve, not from a general city slush fund, from the fire department's budget. This is government arrogance at its worst, and it is time for the taxpayers to draw a hard line in the sand.
From Seattle to Los Angeles, this is Left Coast News. No apologies, just the truth.
Welcome back to Left Coast News, the home for raw truth, constitutional sanity, and unapologetic common sense on the West Coast. If you know my background, you know where I stand. 17 years as a paid and volunteer firefighter, EMT, duty captain, training officer, safety officer, 2 years as a fire investigator, and 2 seasons as a wildland firefighter. I know what it means to run toward the fire when everyone else is running away. I know what every dime in an emergency services budget represents. It represents the safety of the crew on the engine and the survival of the citizen trapped inside a burning structure. When politicians decide to raid that budget to cover their own bureaucratic mistakes and crush first responders in court, it's not just bad policy, it's an outrage. Trail and the real cost to public safety. Let's look at the raw numbers. With this latest $200,000 authorization, the city of Spokane has now poured $885,000 into defending a single federal lawsuit. To a politician sitting in an air-conditioned council chamber, $885,000 is just another line item, just numbers on a spreadsheet they can rubber stamp on a Wednesday night. But to a taxpayer and to anyone who has ever worked a shift on an engine, that money is critical infrastructure. Do you know what $885,000 buys in a municipal fire department? It buys dozens of sets of structural firefighting turnout gear that actually protect crews from cancer-causing carcinogens and thermal burns. It funds essential wildland firefighting equipment heading into peak fire seasons. It funds new paramedic training, vital cardiac monitors, and the kind of frontline staffing that cuts response times when your family is having the worst day of their lives. Instead, the Spokane City Council is burning that cash in a legal furnace. And why? Because back in 2021, when the state of Washington under Jay Inslee rolled out heavy-handed authoritarian COVID-19 mandates, Spokane chose coercion over common sense. They took seasoned, dedicated firefighters, men and women with decades of institutional knowledge, and stripped them of their careers because they requested religious accommodations. They didn't just let them go, they treated them like second-class citizens. And now, years later, rather than admitting the mistake, taking responsibility, and reaching a fair settlement, city leadership is doubling down on the taxpayers' dime. The hypocrisy and the Ninth Circuit ruling. Legal defense isn't just expensive, it's crumbling. The case is Bacon versus Woodward. When the city initially managed to get the lawsuit tossed out in federal district court, they thought they had won. But the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit, not exactly known as a conservative bastion, saw right through the city's argument and completely reversed that dismissal. Why? Because the city's hypocrisy was laid bare for the entire country to see. When Spokane terminated more than 20 of its own firefighters, they created immediate, dangerous staffing holes. And how did the city fill those gaps? They called in mutual aid from neighboring departments like Spokane Valley Fire, bringing in outside firefighters who were unvaccinated and had been granted religious accommodations by their own agencies. Think about that for a second. Spokane told their own veteran firefighters, your sincere religious beliefs make you too dangerous to work on our rigs. Then, the minute the alarm bell rang, they brought in firefighters from next door with the exact same vaccination status to do the exact same job. The Ninth Circuit pointed out the obvious. The city didn't enforce a neutral, generally applicable rule. They discriminated against their own people. The case is now barreling toward a full federal jury trial. If the city loses in court, the payout in damages, back pay, and legal fees will make this $885,000 look like pocket change. Council complicity and political cowardice. Former firefighter and union president Tim Archer stood at the podium in front of the city council during the July 22nd meeting. He looked them in the eye and asked them a simple question. Does spending another $200,000 serve the people of Spokane, or does it simply fund more delay, more litigation, and more religious discrimination? The answer from 6 members of that council was clear. They chose the lawyers. Only one council member, Michael Cathcart, in District 1, had the backbone to vote no. Cathcart pointed out what should be obvious to anyone with eyes. Other jurisdictions accommodated their people. Spokane could have done the same, and it's time to weigh the cost of this endless legal vendetta against the public's interest in resolving it. The rest of the council, Council President Betsy Wilkerson, Sarah Dixit, Paul Dillon, Kate Tellis, Kitty Klitsky, and Zach Zapone, voted to keep cutting checks to the attorneys. This isn't leadership, this is bureaucratic pride. They would rather drain the fire department dry than stand before the public, admit that the pandemic overreach went too far, and settle this case honorably, holding City Hall accountable. This is where you come in. City council members do not care about common sense until their phones start ringing off the hook and their inboxes fill up with angry voters. This is public record. This is your money. This is your fire department. If you live in Spokane, you need to contact your council members today. Tell them to stop raiding the Spokane Fire Department budget and instruct their legal team to reach a settlement. Here is the exact message you should deliver. I am a Spokane taxpayer. I am calling to demand that the City Council immediately stop authorizing legal funds taken from the Spokane Fire Department budget to fight former firefighters in court. Nearly $900,000 has already been wasted. Stop funding endless litigation and settle this case now. Reach out to Council President Betsy Wilkerson at 509-625-6258 or your district representatives Dillon, Tellis, Klitsky, Zapone, and Dixit. Let them know you're watching every single vote. Our first responders earned their keep on the front lines. They didn't sign up to be political pawns. And you didn't pay your taxes to fund an endless legal vendetta against locals. Hold your elected officials accountable. Demand fiscal sanity. Stand on the Constitution. So where do you fall on this? Do you agree with the stance that Spokane took against the fire department and not granting religious exemptions for COVID? Tell me what you think about the way Washington State handled COVID in general. All the firings, all the layoffs, all the being told you're not going to get unemployment if you quit in lieu of, or get fired in lieu of not taking that shot. Do you think that was right? Looking back at everything now, all the evidence that's come forward, all the information about Fauci that's come out. If you made it this far, you're exactly the kind of person we built this channel for. Left Coast News exists to cut through the noise and bring you straightforward analysis of the stories shaping Washington, the Pacific Northwest, and beyond. If you found this video valuable, please subscribe and follow us wherever you get your content, including YouTube, Rumble, Brighteon, BitChute, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, X, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. If you'd like to help support independent journalism, you can also join us on Patreon. Patreon is free for now. You'll find the link in the description below. And if you think this story matters, share it with your friends and family. That's one of the biggest ways you can help this channel grow. Now I want to hear from you. What do you think? Do you agree with this analysis, or do you see it differently? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching Left Coast News.